we go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another day of the 90-Day Ecom Challenge. It's day 46, and this is a live Shopify Q&A session. Here, myself, Peter Sorensen, and we're with the Intrapreneurs team here at Tecademics headquarters. Say hello to the Intrapreneurs team, and if you guys are coming on live or wait a couple minutes, we got a few of you guys.
What's up?
All right. So this is going to be a really fun thing. We decided, hey, let's do a live Q&A with people that really are here to assist you in our group and in our community. Our Intrapreneurs team are people that are working every single day here at the office full time to help you succeed with your Shopify store, help you succeed inside of the 90-day challenge. I want to make sure that we are live, that we're coming up live in the group. Looks like we're good. Okay, cool. So we got some people coming on live. And again, for those of you that are on live, you're going to be able to answer some of your questions. So start asking your questions. What questions do you have about Shopify, about product research, about setting up your store? Maybe it's about advertising. Maybe it's just about managing your business, maybe mindset, some things I shared about in day 45. We have our team here. I'm going to kick it off, and then I'm going to hand it over to Darren, one of my good friends, one of our entrepreneurs. We got Robert here as well, and probably cycle through several entrepreneurs that kind of come in the hot seat to help answer questions for you. So as you have questions, as you're hopping on live here, again, day 46 in our 90-day Ecom challenge. And again, we're in the build grow phase, so some of you guys are just getting started. Maybe you hopped onto the challenge late. Maybe you're still in the building phase. Maybe some of you guys have been with us since day one and you're in the grow phase. And maybe you guys some of you are even crushing it out. You're already scaling your business to $10,000 plus in sales. Wherever you're at is perfect. Know that. Wherever you're at is perfect. The key is, from where you are to where you want to be, what are you doing? What are you learning? And then what are you taking action on a daily basis to move your business forward? So we're going to do a live Q&A, as well as give the entrepreneurs here freedom to really just train whatever they want to train you as well. Things that they've seen that have been valuable, that have been impactful. They're here at the mothership, so to speak, learning on a daily basis. They're getting a crash course, right? Very intense on Shopify, on Facebook advertising. They're getting to work with one of our instructors, John Alfredson, a lot, and a lot of other top marketers. So again, hop on, ask your questions. That being said, I'm going to pass it along to Darren. Darren, feel free to kind of get on here and just maybe start off, Darren, sharing kind of your experience, maybe a little bit on your story, kind of how you got here, and then we can start jumping into some questions.
Yeah, I started in ecom probably a little over a year ago. I've built a couple of stores prior to coming into Tecademics, and really did a great job building stores, but had never gotten any traction with sales and getting those stores off the ground. So had the opportunity to come in here to Tecademics and jumped on it. Probably the best decision, frankly, that I've ever made, definitely from a business perspective. And within the last, I think we've come just surpassed 2 months here, and have learned probably more in those 2 months than I think most people would learn in a year. So it's been an incredible experience and a hell of a journey, and we still have a long ways to go. So I've learned a lot, started applying a lot of the strategies and the knowledge that we've gained here, and am now starting to see results on one particular store that I built before coming here, and then I'm in the process of building a new one. So for me, and I think I can speak for most of the entrepreneurs here, it's been an amazing experience. So I don't know, Roberto, if you want to jump on maybe and give a little bit of your background, then we'll start looking for questions.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Darren. So I got started here at Tecademics after having served in the United States Air Force for 24 years. And all along, though, I'd had this entrepreneurial spirit, and it wasn't until I arrived here that I was able to really apply that, namely because I made the decision and had the support of family. So I think as an entrepreneur, having the support of a spouse, a business partner, someone that you live with day to day, or that you surround yourself with, to have that support at home first, I think is pretty important. A lot of times, folks get involved without that support, and maybe they just kind of fizzle out. But for me, that's been the real key thing. And then probably a very close second, very, very close second, is having that platform to really fuel that entrepreneur spirit of yours. So that platform here at Tecademics right now is Shopify, and I tell you what, I've seen a whole lot of people, including myself, starting to have that those results that we were looking for all along. And I think for me, and probably for the most of us here, by virtue of us actually being on this journey with you, just kind of shows that we want to give back. We feel a lot of satisfaction in giving back to the community. So as we learn and we apply in our business, then we're just turning it around and sharing that knowledge with you. So we're on the same journey here together, and I mean, that's my big takeaway. I really love giving back, and so here we'll continue to moderate in this group, and for those that decide to join us here on campus, we're going to continue to give back and share the knowledge that we acquire here.
Awesome.
So go ahead and start asking some questions, but before we do, as the questions start to stream in, we'd like to just pass the screen around to another entrepreneur. So just introduce yourself, Marissa.
Hi, good afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you are. My name is Marissa Romero, and I am one of the other entrepreneurs here at Tecademics. And it's a pleasure to be here to host this Q&A Shopify training. And do I talk about myself too? Yeah, sure. Very short and sweet. I did the traditional route. I was never really an entrepreneur until this past December, actually. January was when I found the online world. I started off, I went to college, graduated in 2011, and got my civil engineering degree. Worked in that field for 6.5 years in the transportation industry, and then got my master's as well. But for me, there was kind of a void in my career and just in my day-to-day routine that I wasn't very happy. And when I found the online world, when I found Tecademics, when I found Shopify, I knew that that I had to go full force with it and go full force with the entrepreneurial way. And it's been pretty phenomenal, and I don't regret any decision I've made. And the 10 of us here, it's kind of like a little family. Like, you see, we sit here every day in this room. There's no such thing as separating us into cubes or not anything like that. But yeah, we're excited here to serve you guys and help you guys maybe possibly have some breakthroughs today, something that has been, bothering you all week about a little glitch in the Shopify store or whatever it is. So anyways, with that,
Yeah, let's see what, first of all, I think, hey, Simeon, just want to say hi. Looks like Jimmy. Some of the comments are funny. So Simeon said, that's what's happening to me, running my store without success. What do you recommend? Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that question so we can get a little more detail, maybe help you better. What have you done so far? Is your store set up? Are you having challenges with that piece of it, or marketing? What have you tried thus far so we can better help you? Thank you, Amber, for helping in the room there. Let's see here. Any advice to change on my store to get results, as I've been for 46 days now and haven't made any sales? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Amber's going to jump in real quick and answer that one. Here, I'll let you have a seat.
thanks. Hey guys, Amber here. So, real quick, so the question was that he's been on for about 46 days and hasn't had seen any success. So one of the biggest things that I can say is, I know people say this all the time, but you've got to be testing. So in the beginning, I think what a lot of us did, or what I did, is I tested different products to see which one was going to go. I did a general store, so I tested different products in different niches. Once I found a niche that seemed to be responsive, so I set up like a PPE ad. And the way that you find out is if it's responsive is that they'll start sharing, tagging, and liking. Okay? If you start getting that on an ad, even though you don't have any sales, you know that the niche itself or that audience is responsive. So now what you need to do is try to find a product that is going to make them buy it, right? So my advice to you, I don't know, I really can't say you need to do this or need to do that without looking at your stuff or knowing exactly what you've done. But
Just kind of general basis answer for that would be you've got to test out audiences and niches, find one that's responsive. Once you do, start putting different products in front of them on a daily basis, start launching different products, and figure out what product is going to go. So that would be my biggest advice for that if you've been in this challenge for 46 days and you're not seeing any results. Also, make sure that you go back in the training, look at your store, make sure your store set up properly, go through the checkout, make sure that you're able to go through it, make sure that you're able to go to cart, that you're able to check out, look at your copy on your product description, make sure that it looks good. I always ask myself, if I went here, would I buy? Would it be easy for me to click the button and to be able to buy? And if the process is easy for people to get through, then you know that your store's ready to go as far as that. So then you want to start looking at your ads, play with videos, play with pictures, and maybe even the copy on your ad. You just want to be testing. Change everything, change stuff until something works. So that would be my advice on that.
Oh, great.
Good job.
Thanks, Amber. So, go ahead. Did you have...
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Amber was saying. Listen, guys, within your journey here to find a winning ad, just remember, every product that you put out and run, consider it a test. Not all products will gain traction. The intent is to have your products gain traction. That mean by traction, I mean make sales, conversions, but not every product will do that. If I'm not mistaken, here recently I heard that 1 out of every 5 products will actually be a winner, and that ratio might be a little different for some of you. But the point being is that not every product will be the one that hits it. Sometimes it's a product that you least suspect ends up being one that you sell more of. Additionally, try not to get emotionally attached to your ads. When one ad seems to have a little bit of, it may have some conversions, they may have some social proof behind it, and I think the key is to learn how to interpret that data and know when to scale out that ad and when to cut it and not be emotionally tied to those. As a beginner, when I started my journey, I felt that tie to those products, to those ads. I took a lot of pride in picking out what I thought were going to be winning products. I took a lot of pride in writing that copy and placing it, and just the right picture and all that in front of what I thought was the optimal audience. But don't let that get in the way. Don't let it stifle your growth. The goal here is to continue to test. You hear that from all the big key players. Test those products, test those ads, and just don't lose sight of the long game, right? So this is a long game, not the short game. Anything to add?
Well, Alejandro asked, after a good PPE campaign without sales but a lot of engagement, can I move to add to cart? Alejandro, I would leverage the engagement you had on that PPE ad and the social proof on it, but don't go straight to add to cart. Move to a view content first and sort of stair step your way up to next would be add to cart, then to a purchase. And sometimes you can skip over depending on if you're getting purchases during on a PPE ad, then you could go straight to like a purchase event on a conversion ad. But if you're not getting purchases yet, then you're going to want to kind of move into view content first. Let Facebook, let that pixel build, and then eventually you're going to get some add to carts in that process, and then you can kind of move your way up as you get them. So hopefully that helps there. So I would go to view content next. Let's see here. When changing PPE to conversion, I noticed just view content, so I'm not able to jump to add to cart. Any advice?
Who is that?
That's going to be, I think it's Adil. Adil.
So when changing PPE to website, I noticed content.
Feedback on that?
Oh, okay. So I can probably give some rule of thumb on that.
Want to say no?
What's going on, everybody? Sean Sievers here. But he says his name's Adil.
Adil, yeah.
Okay. So to really give clarity on Adil's question, from what I've been taught, what we've been taught And in order for you to transition over from a view content website conversion to maybe add to cart, eventually to purchase, there are some numbers that you want to kind of have a following towards to kind of give you that benefit of the doubt to really make that transition. Because there are situations where you can officially jump to a purchase, just a purchase event to website conversions. Like there's some very successful people that's taught here that immediately move to a purchase event and they don't need any PPE. But in this sense, since a lot of us are first starting out, until you really want to make that jump and decision where you want to jump straight into add to cart, you want to give your view content where you have at least 50, was it 50 to 100 view contents as far as that actual pixel firing, where then you want to go ahead and transition to an add to cart where you jump right into it. Some personally I do that I've heard a lot of successful people do above and beyond myself is they simultaneously run a PPE ad and as well as a conversion ad. So essentially starting out, if you're starting out, if you have a product you want to go ahead and get data on, whatever it may be, or get people to even convert to your website, start a PPE ad as well as a view content, and therefore give that PPE as well as that view content anywhere from 3 to 4 days to really optimize and therefore potentially get customers and conversions right there. And so that's my recommendation for you, Adil. If that helps, if anything, kind of give yourself at least 50 to 100 view content of fired pixels on your pixel, and therefore that's when you want to go ahead and graduate to add to cart and eventually a purchase event when it comes down to website conversion. So, but that's really what I have to take on that.
It sounds like some people may be having a hard time
It
hearing.
says lost screen and lost sound.
Okay. Let's see here, guys.
I don't know.
You guys chime in. Just let us know if you can still see us or hear us.
Yeah, if you guys could comment below and just kind of tell us if you can see and hear us, or if you can and cannot. So, okay. You said it's frozen. Oh man. Yeah, apparently.
That's good. Okay, we're good now.
Okay. Cool.
All right, let's see if we can get down some more of these questions here.
Yeah.
So we got that. Let's see here.
Perfect. Appreciate it. I can see screen. Thanks. Not a problem, Adil. Crystal clear. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, Marilyn, just we're kind of still scrolling down. I have my store set up, but I have it on pause. Forgot how to put my item in the store. I found a product in another store and don't know how to get it into my store. So, Marilyn, there's a couple different ways you can do products. There's obviously the manual way where, if you're pulling, I know where you're getting your product from. So if you were pulling it from like AliExpress, the hard and more manual way would be to save all the images and then go in and create a new product and put in your description and the titling and all that information. But there are apps like Shopify and Oberlo that can help you with moving those things over and make it a little bit more of an I don't want to say automated, but it helps bring over all of the images, all of the descriptions and that type of stuff. So, and you can go in and manually make a few tweaks to it and corrections to it to make the description and the titling sound good. So you might want to look at those two applications if you don't want to do it manually. Hopefully that answers your question. So Mike, I wanted to change from add to cart from view content. I'm not seeing a way to do this. Am I missing something? So depending on what the ad's doing, I don't know if you guys want to jump in. Yeah, I mean, you never typically want to adjust, make any changes to an ad that's been working. So you're going to want to duplicate the ad set, and then when you make that duplicate, you can go back in and you can adjust the event from add to cart or to add to cart from view content. So, Amber, do you have anything to add on that? Or?
Yeah, that's what I would say. You never want to change or edit an ad while it's running, period. Even if it's not performing, when you do, what happens is Facebook re-optimizes. So you're not going to see the results for about another 24 hours. So I would always duplicate, and then you can duplicate, run it as the same campaign, the same ad set, and the same ad. So it'll ask, do you want a new campaign or original campaign? Just hit original campaign. And then when you go into the ad set itself and you're looking at the event pixel, then you can choose the one that you want to do. And then I would always schedule that for 12 a.m. at night to run. And then you'll cut the other one off when that one starts running. That's how I would change it.
Cool.
Someone asked about the app you suggested. I just saw.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll get onto that, but I'm trying to catch up on some of these here. We're a little bit behind here. I'm just checking questions for you guys. I think it's Brian. I don't know if it's Brian or Brian Castillo. If I do a PP video ad and there is no engagement after a day, reaches 1,600 views, is 700. Should I stop it or let it run for 3 days? Somebody else?
I can give a take on it. Well, the rule of thumb, as far as from those who've done what you're trying to achieve, is you want to give the post that you're doing, the product that you're testing, at least three, sometimes for myself personally, 3 to 4 days, for it to really develop to make that decision, because it takes some time for Facebook to go ahead and gather that data. So even if it's not, even if the post is not seeing the engagement you want, for example, personally me, I'll give you an example. I put a product up maybe a week or two ago, and I was in the same scenario. After the first day, I was so used to getting so much engagement on the post. It was about 2 days after I put about $10 into the post, and I had about 10 likes and a comment, and I was going to cut it, but something told me to keep going, because I just, based on the information in these videos just like this from the 90-day challenge, 90 training from the challenge, I let it go for another 2 to 3 days, and in that particular time frame, I got over 100 comments on that particular post, including myself engaging. I got about 50 likes on it altogether, and I ended up making a couple sales out of that particular post. But if I cut it short, then therefore I would have cut the opportunity for me to see that particular, the data, as far as what is it good data, as well as am I going to get any sales out of it, or am I getting any engagement. So going back to the more so general rule of thumb, give it at least 3 to 4 days as far as to really make a decision on whether you're going to cut the ad or whether you're going to go ahead and keep going with it. Because I see that a lot in the group. People say, I've been posting this for a day and I have no likes, or I have no comments, or I have no shares. Give it some time, let Facebook do its work, and then therefore it's going to go ahead and make your official decision once it's appropriate to do so 3 to 4 days after you go ahead and put that up. That's what I would say to that particular question. So give it some time. But anybody got anything else to that?
Yeah, I just want to say that you're buying data, so never perceive any of your money spent on these ads as a loss. It's an investment in the data. You're purchasing data so that you can make sound decisions on whether or not you need to move forward with scaling or just stop that particular campaign. And if I may roll into another question here from Otilia Mirella Simeon. Apologies if I mispronounced that, but Otilia asks, how many view contents needs in other words, how many view contents to optimize the Facebook pixel? Okay, good question. So if you want to move from view content to, say, add to cart or purchase, you want to get at least 500 view contents. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. Hello, guys, everybody. My name is Fabian Serpa. So we are here some Dan Smith. So follow up that. Do you use shortened links or your sites? What I can tell about that is don't use the long link. Yeah, maybe use the shorter one if your link is short, or sometimes they go to the builder link or the other one. This is test. Some people works with Bitly or Google one, but the point here is go like a shorter one, not the biggest one, because if you paste a big link there, the ad will go so low, so it will be no traffic. Exactly, especially for mobile, that all the people will be.
Adil said lost it.
Yeah, you have to play again.
Michael said, "Oh."
Yeah, so if your store, like for example, if your product, title is super long, the link, your My Shopify or your own domain URL is going to be really long. So if it's a really long one, it's not a bad thing to use Bitly or use a Google shortener. Those work too. So I mean, I've used both. And
He said people said we okay.
We get froze.
We're now back.
We're back now. We're back now. But
Okay.
to kind of emphasize on Roberto, what he was saying is the preference is use a shorter link rather than a longer link. as far as a raw link, is what Fabian was saying, versus a longer link in your description, especially if you're trying to target the mobile audience. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Is there another one that you were going to look at, Fabian? There's one here. I think, Mike, we might have answered your question already, but you said you I have 233 view contents, but I'm not finding a way to change over to add to cart. So hopefully we answered that earlier just by duplicating that ad set and then going back in and changing. You can use the same campaign when it asks you, but then you're going to want to change the event from view to cart to, view content to add to cart. So hopefully we answered that before, and that's clear now. If not, let us know.
Yeah, just to get clarity on what Darren's saying, just so you know. So when you start a campaign out as a view content, and you want to transition, when you go ahead and you want to check off in your back office the campaign that's the objective is a website conversion, you duplicate that, and then when you duplicate it, it should by default be what the original campaign was. So if it's view content for the first one, the second the campaign that you duplicate from the original, it should already be by default view content. You change that from view content, the one you duplicated, to whatever it may be you want to go ahead and transition to. If it's add to cart, or if it's a purchase, website purchase conversion, or did I say that right? Yeah, purchase conversion. I feel like I said it backwards. But therefore, then you go ahead and save that, and then you apply that, and then therefore you don't have to change necessarily what you originally had as far as the view content. That hopefully that makes sense, because I feel like a lot of people don't know that they're more so overanalyzing the situation, but it's a lot more simpler than you think. Just duplicate that campaign, duplicate it, and then just change the objective from view content to if it's add to cart or purchase, if that makes sense.
Okay, here is other Adil Bouassawi. Oh, excuse me, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so when moving from PPE to WC, should we keep the same audience? I mean, same interest? Yeah, you keep the same interest, but you will be more laser target. You know, you will be, PPE will be more broad. Yeah, so maybe 5 million. Yeah, 1 to 5 million maybe will be good. And then when you go to WC, you go more detail in the interest. So maybe it will be like 200 to 500 will be good. To 800. Yeah, that's the difference. But the same interest, more broad, more narrow, will be. I can tell. I don't know. You can go deep in there.
Really go.
Yeah, expand on that answer a little bit, what you can do in your PPE ad set is evaluate who is looking at your ad. So if you go to the drop down of the performance column in your ads manager, you could look at what gender is looking at it the most, what age groups, what region, country, and then that way when you go and create your campaign for website conversion, you can create your ad sets accordingly to the people that are engaging with the posts. And yeah, you can keep the same interest, but you can kind of like trim the fat off the ad set, because you can target, like, you know, the specifics of if it's 23-year-olds to 31-year-olds that are clicking and engaging most on that PPE, then that would be, you know, a really good thing to try in one of your ad sets for when you move to WC.
Okay, and just kind of add on to what Marissa was saying. Yeah, just you really use your PPE. I would say the objective and rule of thumb for me and some of us that can agree is use your PPE and really get in the habit of analyzing your data off of that PPE. So like she said, trim the fat off of what's working. So if you go broad for an ad from 18 to 65 or for a PPE, look at the data after 3 to 4 days of a PPE, and therefore make an ad a custom to a website conversion based on who's engaging more. So in 18 to 65 years old, after 3 to 4 days, you see people that are 25, 34, that's a woman that's more engaged, that are on iPhone. You can therefore make that ad precisely and make your dollars a lot more efficient versus going broader. So therefore that's essentially what you want to more so keep on your top priority list when it comes down to looking at your PPE. Don't just look at it, did I get any sales? It's cool if you do, but also look at it and see how much more precisely you can go ahead and target your ideal customer, because essentially you're just trying to get the right audience in front of the right people, the right product in front of the right people, and essentially you're right. So if you can just target people from 25, 30 versus broad, you're going to save yourself a lot more money, and therefore you're going to make yourself a lot more money without having to go ahead and spend all across the board to 1.8 billion, where you could just target to 100,000 to 200,000 people in that age range who have an iPad, who live in the United States, if that makes sense. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Just one more thing on that too, that I don't think we've mentioned that applies to some of these, is when you're going from PPE to a conversion ad, make sure you leverage that same post that you used in the PPE ad, because you've got social proof on there, you've got likes, you've got comments, you've got shares, you've got a lot of engagement. So all that is good social proof. Even if you never got a sale or anything off of that, now when you run your view content ad, now you've got the social proof. So when people see it, they see the other people were looking at it and commenting, and so it just gives it more credibility, I guess, for lack of a better word. So make sure you're doing that too, because I think that's really important. And a lot of people, they tend to like create a whole new post or a new ad, and you don't take advantage of the whole reason why you did the PPE in the first place. There was somebody, let me real quick, somebody was asking, Mason, what would you guys do to, I think it was to make your site more, I guess it's more secure for some people who feel comfortable buying from you. There's a number of different things you can do for that. You know, there's a lot of images out there that show the secure shopping, so the Visa, the MasterCard, and the whole secure little lock and everything that's on there. You can get apps. There's some of them. There are some paid ones, but you know, like McAfee and stuff like that, that give people the security and knowing that their information is going to be secure there. Social proof is always a good thing too. Depending on what kind of theme you're using, if you're able to put testimonials on there, that stuff can work. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I think more than anything is making people feel safe knowing that they can put their credit card in on your website. So, and the look and the feel too. You want your site to look, you know, it doesn't have to be the prettiest thing out there, but at least it looks professional, and not just something that just somebody threw together. So that's just my opinion on those things. But I think, yeah, they just gotta feel comfortable putting their credit card with you and knowing that other people are doing the same thing. So
yeah, another thing to add on to what Darren is saying real quick is a couple few ways to keep your website customer friendly, because essentially all we're doing is we're just a third party partner in regards to selling these products. And so one thing that I've come across where I've got corrected on personally on my store, my theme was very depressing in the colors, like gray. It was very dark, things of that nature. So one thing I would recommend is make sure you have some warm colors as far as that goes. Don't necessarily have too much going on. Clean it up. And another thing is small, but it's big. What I've come to find out is maybe your About Us. Kind of, if you don't have it now, kind of getting the agenda of really having a mission statement around your store, because people don't care what you know till they know that you care. They want to know why. People want to know why you have the store. So there's people out there that might not want to buy from you because they don't necessarily know who you are. So people want to necessarily identify with you. So if you have a necklace store and then you have a mission statement or whatever it may be, like I want to bring all styles of necklaces together. Just knowing that why kind of give more of a social proof, like Darren was saying, along with your theme to having a certain codes as far as with the credit card, stuff like that. I feel like that all meshes together as far as what I've experienced to what I've heard some of the successful people say, which is very essential. So that's something I would recommend, really start thinking about and pondering on your About Us when it comes down to why you're having your store, and make sure you make that public, and also having a way for them to contact you. So messenger or contact us, have it on your page so they feel like they can reach out to whoever owns the store, whatever it may be. So, okay.
yeah, you want to go over it?
Yeah, I want to loop back around here and answer. I see one of the common things we're getting on this thread here is how long to run your PPE, your page post engagement ad. So run it 5 days max. I mean, you don't want to lose money over it either in that sense, like keep putting money onto an ad after it's been on for a little while. Whether or not it's getting the social proof that you set out to get, I wouldn't run it any more than 5 days. And as far as running a free plus shipping offer, I wouldn't spend any more than about $20 for a free plus shipping offer if there are no sales off of a website conversion ad. So the other thing I want you to know too is that all this training here, almost every day that we have this training, there's someone that asks, several people during that 24-hour period from the one day to the next, is where do we get the training? What do I do next? I've just joined. What do I do? These kind of questions, a lot of that can be handled if you just go back and look at the videos, the recordings, the replays. So if you look on this page, upper left area, there's a button that says videos, and there's another little section that says files. So you want to make sure that go ahead and engage in that content. Look at those recordings. And just as a helpful tip, if you're using the Google Chrome, use a Google Chrome extension called Video Speed Controller. So if you use Video Speed Controller, you can get through those videos a little bit faster, okay? Because like you, I have a limited amount of time. I still, I come here, and all of us were coming here. We're helping Tecademics and moderating this group here and all that. So, and on top of that, we have our personal lives. So we're with you, okay? I mentioned that a little bit earlier, that we're on the same journey. So we all have, though, the one thing we have in common is the 24 hours in a day. So we have to prioritize our time. And if it means utilize some, like a video speed controller to pare down a 2-hour video down to, something like an hour and a half. I mean, those little cut corner tips really help get through your day and get the content you need so you can implement and test. So that's what I have.
Yeah, no, I was actually just going to comment on that, so that's great. And that video speed controller is awesome. I don't watch video the same way anymore, and it saves you a lot of time. Okay, let's get to. By the way, we've had a couple comments that the video is kind of cutting in and out. Are you guys still having problems with that? Because I want to make sure you're seeing this. It doesn't appear to be that way on our end, but I don't want you missing out on this. So I don't know if it's Samer or Samer. Apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Should I start with a PPE of 1 million first, and then 24 to 48 hours later a view content of 250 to 500K, and learn which age ranges interacted most to target them better with the view content ad? Basically use the PPE as a guide for the view content. Yeah, no, absolutely. I would say that we kind of touched on this before, Fabian did, where if you're doing PPE initially, an audience of 1 to 5 million is good. You want to go more broad there because you're just really looking for engagement. The expectation on a PPE ad is not to get a sale. I mean, it's just, if you do, that's fantastic, but that's definitely not the expectation. So I might let that run for at least 48 hours. I mean, it really depends on how much engagement you get over that period of time. If in 24 hours you got 1,000 likes and 100 shares and comments, well, then you've got some good data there. So, but yeah, then you can take a look at that and use that to help you gauge the audience for when you switch over to view content. And in that view content ad, the audience should be somewhere between that 200 and 800,000 mark. So I think generally speaking, you have a pretty good plan there. Just you got to watch the numbers and see what happens. Again, this is all, we say it a lot, and we kick this horse a lot, but it's test. I mean, can't really say that enough. Whether that be just the ads that you're running or testing new products. I mean, everything that you do, you got to test it and see what people react to. So, go ahead.
Yeah, Michelle Soy asked, she said she had 9 sales on her product, then nothing for a few days. Should she run? Did you answer that one already?
No, but
yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, so should she run a different objective? Well, this is what I would do is after having had some sales, you can duplicate that ad and then add a different, look at the data first. So if you know how to look at the data, see who interacted with those purchases, like which age groups and from which platform, and then duplicate the ad, and then you target just those age groups, even down to the gender. So, for example, if most of your sales came from age group, say 21 to 34, okay, then duplicate the ad and select just that age group. And if it was mostly females using iPhones, for instance, okay, so maybe you can even duplicate the ad again and then just target that age group, women out of iPhone, for instance, or Android or what have you. So, I mean, there's just different ways to go about it. So that's just a little bit on
Yeah.
that. And then one more with Daniel Maza.
I was going to answer that question.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so first of all, let's see, you had 9 sales on a product and nothing. So we need to know what your objective was. Were you running a PPE or a conversion? If you were running a PPE, that's awesome. Now you want to go ahead and set up a conversion and run it to that exact same post that you had the PPE running to. If you were doing a conversion, like Roberto said, we need to know where you started from. Were you doing a view cart? Were you doing, view content, add to cart? If you're at one of those, then you can kind of move up the ladder. If you got 9 sales on an ad, I would go, if it was me, regardless whether you're running a PPE or a conversion, I would go straight to conversion purchase because that's a winning ad. You got 9 sales on it. Now, depending on how long, so guys, when you're asking these questions, make sure that you're getting really detailed. Are you running a PPE? Are you running a conversion? How long has it been running? You had 9 sales in what amount of time? So we need to know all that information in order to give you a solid answer. But if it was me, I would go ahead and run a conversion purchase to it, to the same audience, to the same page that I was, or same page post that I was running the prior ad to, and see if it converts that way.
Cool. Mustafa, you run PPE campaign and you get some social proof on your video. Can you move to purchase conversion? Well, it depends on how much engagement that you've had on that PPE ad. I think we've mentioned some numbers here, so hopefully you heard those. But once you do, I mean, if you haven't had any add to carts or purchases on that PPE campaign, I would probably start with a view content conversion first, and let the pixel gather some more data on that, and then you can move into like an add to cart or a purchase after that, because hopefully at that point you're starting to see at least some add to carts, if not purchases as well. So hopefully that answers your question. Jen Mark, after choosing your product and creating the fan page, is it wise to run an ad for likes, then post your ad and run a conversion ad? Well, you're gonna run initially after you set up the conversion, or I'm sorry, the fan page. You're gonna typically run a PPE ad first to get the engagement, and then once you get the engagement, just like I was just saying, then you can switch over to a website conversion ad, and you would normally select view content initially for that. So, what else? You see the question?
Daniel Maza asked, some people recommend to keep 1 day instead of 7-day conversions window to improve ROI. What's your opinion? Here we're just running with 7-day conversion window. I wouldn't mess with going with 1 day.
Yeah, other question that we have here is that people ask when I should schedule my ad. So that's a good question. We recommend you that schedule if you are in the evening, so better wait until the start of the day, midnight, so you can start the ad from the beginning of the day. Otherwise, Facebook will try to spend all your money as fast as they can. So wait until the other day at the midnight, so you can have all 24 hours, so you can start the ad.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, if you're building your ad in the morning and you can launch it in the morning, then you're probably okay. But if it starts to get into the afternoon and evening hours, like Fabian was saying, first of all, you're only going to get limited data for that day, but also too, there is the possibility that Facebook will just go through your entire day's budget within, let's say you launched an ad at 10 p.m. It has happened where between 10 p.m. and midnight, you burn through the entire day's budget in those couple hours, and now you have, frankly, probably a lot of bad data because they just push it out to anybody. So, so that's definitely good advice. What else do you see?
Jen Mark Nelson, I think the question is, what should the target number audience, how large is the audience for running an ad in the big 5 countries? So for those unaware, the big 5 countries would be the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and United Kingdom. Anyway, so I guess it depends on what kind of campaign you're running. So again, if you're running a PPE, the audience size should be anywhere from 1 million to 5 million. And then if you're running a conversion, website conversion ad campaign, that should be, it's generally recommended to go anywhere from 200,000 to 800,000. So really, I think the takeaway, it doesn't matter how many countries you're running to. It goes down to targeting your audience down to a sweet spot of 200 to 800,000.
Then kind of add on to what Roberta was saying. Yeah, the more so rule of thumb, it's not necessarily the country. There's more so the audience. So the objective of PPE is to get a lot of people engaged. So logically, if you think about it, why would you do a PPE ad towards 100,000 people? You can do it, but what we're trying to do is gain social proof engagement, see who's liking the post, and therefore just get people to like it. And so odds are people in that range of millions of people, you're going to get that. Versus website conversion, 200 to 8,000 people, 200,000 to 800,000 people. That's more so precise to find people that are more serious in buying. Like Facebook's going off behavior. That's why they have these events. So if anything, kind of really go off of that rule of thumb, like because essentially what we're going off of is what we've seen is work. So like I said, millions, so 1 to 5 million. To kind of just if you had to write something down right now and kind of follow something for the time being. Right now, PPE ads you want to have in the rule of thumb of 1 to 5 million people as far as getting people engaged into it. And then if you want to find people in a website conversion from view content, add to cart, purchase, you want to stay in the realm of 200,000 to 800,000. Because the reality of it is, there's not too many products that can continuously make you money. So essentially, it's always going to run out. So logically, you want to give yourself just enough time to chew through that crowd, but just enough where you're not saturating it in a day, if that makes sense. So
Another couple of people have asked this question, it's actually a really good question, about being able to keep the data from your PPE ad when you're switching over to website conversion. So when you do a PPE ad, obviously you're creating a page post, whether that be just a post on your actual fan page or you're doing a dark post. I don't want to get too deep into the details of that, but you get the engagement. When you switch over to a website conversion ad, you're going to go back in. First of all, you're going to duplicate the ad set, and you're going to use the same campaign. But when you go back in, it's going to give you the option to choose the page post that you want to use for that. You go back in and you choose the same page post you used for the PPE campaign, and it brings all of that post and the data with it, all of the social proof. So all of your likes, shares, comments, all of that stuff will come along with it. So when you create the new ad, you'll see that in there. Hopefully that answered your guys' question on that one.
Adil asks, are magazines the best interests we should be using? And is intersecting important, or can we make it without it? So magazines is a good one to start with, absolutely. So think about the kind of things that your target audience would like. So if it's magazines, well then magazines it is. If it's TV shows or TV series, then you might consider that too. Or if you're selling societies, or maybe even like jewelries, certain jewelry, you might want to target the kind of stores that maybe costume jewelry lovers would like to visit. So I think you get the idea with that. And is intersecting important? Absolutely. Intersecting is, I think, critical. So if you're going to find a real good audience, an audience that can, that's what I'm trying to say. I think if you're going to find the passionate audience, finding an intersecting audience, or flex targeting as it's called sometimes, is critical to reaching those passionate people who really resonate with your product. For instance, let's say you're selling a mug. Of course, you might want to fill it with coffee, yes, so a coffee mug. And you're going to want to target whatever. So if you have a designless coffee mug, like of a puppy, an animal, right, like a dog. So you're going to want an example of targeting, flex targeting, or intersecting audience would be coffee lovers who also happen to love puppies, or dogs, or dog lovers who love coffee. And then now you have that passionate audience. Just a little more narrow.
Well, Michael asked, should we always do PPE, view content, add to cart, and purchase in that order? In a lot of cases, yes, but you can also you can run a PPE ad and a view content ad concurrently as well. So you have the option of running a PPE, getting the engagement, and then moving into a view content conversion ad, or you can do PPE and view content at the same time, and then move into an add to cart or purchase after you've gotten some data on that and actually tested it and made sure that you're getting engagement, and then when you're doing the view content that you're at least getting some add to carts. So, sure.
To add on to what Darren was saying, to that question more to say, starting out, just to kind of clarify, because there's a bunch of ways on how things work. Like the thing is with this industry, there's fundamentals to follow, but there's so many things that change. And so just to kind of give you an idea, starting out, you want to kind of start with and gradually work your way up from view content, add to cart, website conversion as far as the purchase. But eventually, because there's people in this industry where they don't need a view content or add to cart because they have a seasoned pixel, meaning they've got that data. There's people out there that literally go initially straight into purchase. So essentially, starting out, you want to go ahead and work your way up that ladder, but eventually, you won't need that essentially because your pixel is gonna have so much data where you could just do a purchase event altogether. So it's not necessarily an end all be all, but it's kind of like taking your training wheels off. So essentially, think of it in that sense when it comes down to maturing your pixel. So kind of give clarity on that.
We've got some people here commenting. Great tip from Matthew. Jeanette says, good info. Appreciate that. Guys, we're trying real hard here to get to all your questions.
It's a lot of you.
Another concern here in the group is that the video keeps cutting out or we keep dropping. Listen, hit refresh periodically if that happens to you, or sometimes you'll get the little play button that appears on your screen. Just do that. So apologies for that. Keep those thumbs ups and hearts coming. We like that. It makes us feel good to be able to contribute back to the community. Darren, you got anything?
Yeah, we've got a few here. So I think it's Kareem. What's the most important skill set or skill we need to master in order to succeed in e-commerce? Is it Facebook ads? My personal opinion is it's probably two things. Because setting up a store, it's fairly mechanical, and you can learn that, I think, fairly easily. But I think product selection is really important, and then yes, Facebook ads for sure. Those are probably my two. If I'm giving my own opinion on what's the most important thing. I wonder if you guys have anything to add on that, or you agree?
Yeah, I essentially agree. Like
Okay.
like I said, Shopify is you need to have the correct tools. You need to have it set up correctly. But the big rule, the one I would say that's over that is Facebook. But essentially, they're both important. But when it comes down to driving traffic, because essentially, I'm sure we all have gone to AliExpress or gone to these retailers overseas, whatever it may be, and they have orders on the products. So in our minds, I'm sure y'all thought, well, that product sells, so I should be able to sell that. We know they sell. It's just a matter of us. We got to get good at driving traffic. Once we know how to drive traffic, you can essentially dominate any market you want. The market's going to tell you whether they like it or not. Either they're going to buy 10 of them or they're going to buy 1,000 of them. There's somebody out there that's going to buy them. We just got to get good at matching the audience with the product. That's essentially the game. It's kind of like solving a Rubik's Cube. Once you do it, essentially it's going to be more simple, if anything. It's always changing. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it's simple in the concept, because a lot of us are in our own head. We always think of, well, I don't like that. But then again, there's stuff that we got Ecom Rob sold, or Darren or myself that have sold, but we would not buy it. A lot of us keep staying in our brain. We got to kind of think of the consumer. Like you said, magazines, events, associations, stuff like that. Kind of brainstorm that if you have anybody. You can't pay attention to what people are talking about, because it might pop something in your head where you're like, wow, okay, I can make that an interest. So
Well, it's testing, like we said. It's like you can, even if whether you like it or don't like it, let people vote on it, with their wallet. I mean, at the end of the day, that's how you gauge success with this stuff. So, let's see, Kirk, what's a realistic expectation on cost to test a new product to sell? We kind of live by the $5 a day budget. So initially, if you're starting with a PPE ad and then moving to a website conversion ad, if you have success with the PPE after 3 days, you've spent $15. You're going to move into a website conversion ad, and I would say that you're probably going to spend do another 3 days of testing there. So, I mean, $30 or so if you have success with through the PPE, you're going to spend at least 15, and then again another 15 on a conversion ad.
Sue Fiane says, hey, can we talk about manual bidding? I'll tell you what, that's a bit of an advanced feature. When we stay with automatic bidding, automatic, just don't go there just yet. Okay, so if you're an advanced user, then I suggest seeking the assistance from advanced users. But in this circle, the 90-day challenge, we're all about serving folks primarily who are getting started with Shopify. So don't get too concerned. If you're not at that point yet, just bypass that for now. Most people will just do automatic. Again, guys, I see other comments coming in. Hey, where do we find the training? Someone, even within the group, answered. There's some recordings, upper left area of this page. We've recorded these. We're on day 46.
46.
Yeah,
And
46.
so think about it. There's a ton of information there. Some of these questions can, again, if you revisit that section of the recordings, day 1 all the way through to day 45, there's invaluable information in there, okay? Just a ton of content ranging from basic setup to some of this Facebook advertising that we're talking about today. So also there's some outlines in there and files to check out. So don't be afraid to go back in there. You'll be surprised just how much you'll learn just by going through that content. And again, earlier I shared video speed controller. Want to mark that down. Video speed controller to get through those videos a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and that's, by the way, it's a Chrome extension, so you have to have Chrome, be using Chrome to use that. You can just type in Chrome extensions into Google, go there, and then search for video speed controller to find that. So it's really helpful. So I think Fabian has a question he wanted to address.
Yes, here Melanie asked, how important is to offer PayPal as a payment method? Is it really that popular over just credit card? I think that the more you give, the more maybe more options you have to people be like comfortable in your store. So PayPal is real trust method to pay because they don't have to put like the credit card info there. Or yeah, you just only have to put the email and pay through PayPal. So if you have the option to add PayPal to your Shopify store, I highly recommend it. So it gives you like more trust and more options to the buyer to maybe make the purchase.
It's also,
Oh, sure.
I'm sorry,
You
it's
guys-
it's also important in the European market. They tend to want to use PayPal more. So
Yeah.
I would add it if you're including European countries on your list of countries you ship to.
Perfect. And then Marissa?
And then in my own, let me just get it off my plate. In my personal experience with credit card versus PayPal, my conversion rate got better when I included PayPal as an option, because there was maybe a 3 or 4 day period when I took PayPal off because of the risk of PayPal not giving you your money and such. But when I put PayPal back on, customers started using it right away. So I think I'm just gonna leave it on there. And what I do is once I get a certain dollar amount or certain number of orders in my PayPal, I'll right away transfer it to my bank so that there's no issues of it getting flagged or anything from PayPal. So yeah, I would suggest using both.
Cool. Thank you. Brian, you were asking about does it have to be a published post, or can you use an unpublished or dark post for website conversion? Personally, I would use dark posts, especially because what's going to happen is you're going to start testing a lot of products, running a lot of ads, and if you're not running unpublished or dark post, then the fan page gets cluttered with just a bunch of ads.
Mm-hmm.
And You want the fan page to be mostly about content. If
Yeah.
you're going to build it out, build content. I mean, every once in a while to throw in an actual published post is fine, but I would say you probably kind of at least want to live by the 80-20 rule if you're doing that. So I would say an unpublished or dark post is great. Mike, I know you've asked a couple times about the staff accounts. Can you do us a favor, just contact one of us offline, and we can help you with that. I'm not sure exactly what you want to know about it, but I want to make sure you get your question answered. Let's see
Yeah.
here.
So maybe I say that thanks everybody for all the questions that we have in here, all the support here. Really appreciate it.
Let's see here. I'm just looking through some more questions. I think we have quite a few still left. We'll probably give this a little bit longer, and then we're going to probably wrap up. So, best format to use traffic or conversion ad for a product. Tim, I would kind of go by the structure that we've been talking about as far as using the PPE ad first if you're going to go that route and get the engagement, get the social proof, and then switch over to a conversion ad once you do have that. And if you don't get it, then you might just want to kill it and test something different. Let's see here. Did you have anything over?
Yeah, Samar Shamus. Samar Shamus asks, do you recommend videos of still images, or is that not efficient as carousel since they're static? Facebook is going to perceive those still images put into a kind of like a, what do you call that? Like a, it's like when you put the still images into a little short video, like a slideshow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can make a little video out of still images, and still, Facebook is going to perceive it to be a video, and that's going to be fine. You're going to get, it'll cost you less than just putting up a static picture of your product.
Yeah.
So good question.
Yeah. I mean, Facebook loves video, and they reward it. I mean, the longer they can keep somebody on Facebook, the better. So you're going to find that if you, I mean, again, this is all about testing. You could use a static image, and I'm sure there are instances where it could outperform a video, but you want to test them. But ultimately, even if you do a slideshow, it is looked at as a video, and so you're going to get rewarded for that. And typically, video is going to cost you less too when you look at your ad. So let's see here.
Joshua, one of the biggest mistakes, what was one of your biggest mistakes you could help us avoid? I say not taking action soon enough. So you keep hearing us talk about testing your ads. Just get over that fear about maybe not getting the results right away. Like I said, it's test, 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 and don't let fear paralyze you from taking action. So your store don't get caught up in making your store picture perfect. Okay, you can't compete with the big box stores, the big names on the internet, the big polished name brands out there that have their websites selling online. You just can't. So focus on your ad copy. Focus on taking daily actions, putting up, doing your product research, and just coming up with a schedule that works for you with the amount of time that you have and the budget that you have. But take action every day. Carve out some time. Wake up earlier. Stay up later. It's a life of an entrepreneur. So if this is going to succeed, it's going to be up to you and your efforts. So, but don't let fear paralyze you. Your store, again, doesn't have to look perfect. Here's another big tip. When you think about your store, yes, you want it to look nice and polished and pretty with all the bells and whistles, but when you think about it, you're advertising one product on Facebook. Chances are the people who are going to click on that product to take a look at it and maybe make that purchase, most of them, like 90%, aren't even going to go poking around the rest of your store. They're not even going to see the rest of your store. So while it's nice to have a polished store, it's not, especially now when you're starting off, it's really not that important from the outset. You'll have time later. Focus on getting your sales.
Yeah, and don't feel the need to put in 100 products. Get started with 5 or whatever, and like Roberto was saying, they're going to most likely they're only going to look at that one product that they came off of website or came off of Facebook, off the Facebook ad to see. So they're probably not even going to see most of your other products in that case. But there's nothing wrong. I mean, we were just looking at a store yesterday where they literally have one product on the store and that's it. So you can be successful doing that. So the idea is just take action. I think that's probably like you were saying, it's like that's what most people worry too much about, having everything so perfect, and then they never really do anything. So just don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about it being pretty and all that. Just get the products up and then get some ads running and start testing.
Darren, I get the question all the time, how many products should I have in my store before I get started? Really, I mean, if you could start with 10 products, I mean, literally, you can start with one product. Just, again, don't let how many products you have in your store hold you back from placing your first ad. So if you have one product, great, you can place an ad. You can start off with 10 products. But the point is, you just continually add, create new ads. And if you're going to create new ads, that means you have to have products.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, eventually you're going to start putting more and more in your store, and you want to do that.
Yeah.
But to get started, all you need is one.
Yeah, it's really add on that, just kind of close it off as far as it goes. Try to get into a rhythm as far as how often you're testing products. Like I said, just to put it this way, if you knew that it took you, just say you knew this scenario, if you knew that you were one product, for every 100 products you tested, you knew that one was going to blow up, would you get discouraged from testing 99 or 100 products? If you knew 101 was going to be the one that's going to blow up, like how determined would you be to be testing and figuring out of those 100 products to go ahead and figure out which one's going to blow up? If I knew that, I would go crazy in the sense of testing and figuring out which one works. So get in the rhythm of doing that. People, like I said, people get so attached. They're like, oh my God, but I want to make this work, but I like it. It looks blue. It looks like this. Get in the habit of testing, and the faster you test, the more data you're going to get. The more data you're going to get, the faster you're going to get your pixel matured, and the closer you're going to get to that winning product. Because one win can offset 99 losses. So if you look at it that way, you're like, dude, all I need is one to offset all these losses. Therefore, the sky's the limit in that sense. So.
And the good news is it's probably not going to take you 100. So
yeah, I'm just saying that.
Yeah, no, but you're right, absolutely. Yeah. But he's got a very good point. So let's see.
Yeah, Michael Vasquez asks, will you mess up an ad if you add a group to exclude to target while it's active? Chances are, yes. So what you want to do is if you find that you have to change anything about your ad, Michael, you want to go ahead and duplicate that ad, and then make your changes, and then pause the ad that you no longer wish to have going. On the flip side, though, on that particular ad, maybe it's gaining traction. Maybe you get a sale or two. If it's working, if it's making sales, leave it on, and then just have a duplicate ad running. Say another country to it, or some different age group added or excluded from it, or what have you. But yeah, once the ad is going, and I think that Darren mentioned it earlier. Once the ad is up and running, don't go back and make changes to it, because you'll confuse Facebook, and that optimization of the pixel will be delayed.
Yeah, I mean, basically Facebook will go back and re-optimize the ad, and it'll mess it up. So you're better off just duplicating and going and starting a new ad set. Daryl Stout, what would be a guide to deciding if your PPE engagement is high enough to justify running website conversion ads to the same audience? I think the rule of thumb that we use around here is about 1,000 likes. Ideally, you want to have a fair amount of comments and shares to go along with that. Over 100 is ideal for each one of those, but that's probably a good number to work with. Mark Verhoeven, I think it is. So you wanted more training about matching audiences to a product. So we'll have to make sure we do some more of that for you. But you said for now, some golden tips for finding the best converting audiences. Well, I think there's a lot of different ways to do this. One is to use what we kind of like seems to be the theme of today's Q&A, and that is just the process in which you launch ads, what type of ads you use. So again, it's all about testing, but so you're going to start with PPE, then move into website conversions using either view content, add to cart, or purchases. But within that, initially you can go broad with the PPE ad, but once you get through that process, you're going to narrow your audiences down, and that's when you can start figuring out, within that broad scope audience, you can look at influencers in that audience and create a new audience just with them. You can find associations, you can find magazines. A lot of times if people read magazines, they're probably pretty engaged, and they'll probably be a good somebody good to target. So break it down into groups and then you can kind of get a better perspective. And then from there, you can break it down even more once you get more data about, what age, what gender is viewing it, those types of things, and you can get more and more granular with it until you get down to a really super highly targeted audience. I hope that helps answer your question. And then let's see here. I'm gonna kill this name. I apologize. It's Venta.
Mr. Mars.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Mr. Marce is the last name. You're asking about the difference between running a $5, $10, $20, or $50 ad. The more you pay, what happens? Here's what I've learned is that when you give Facebook less to work with, they're more calculated in how they spend it. So they're gonna make more of an effort to go after the audience that you've been very careful in selecting. Versus if you just throw in $50, it could go out to a lot of people and not be as targeted, I guess, is the best way. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but that's...
Yeah, and conversely, if your budget can support it, I mean, you did mention $50, which I think is a bit high for where we're at here and starting up our Shopify stores. Because granted, there are folks with highly seasoned pixels that can afford, maybe within their budget, or just because of the fact that their pixels very seasoned, Facebook already understands the audience that this person really is after, and the $50 is very doable for them. But at this stage of the game, I would say stick to the stick to the teachings, okay? Stick to the basics, and if your budget affords, $10, Facebook can gather your data just a little bit faster.
Well, keep in mind, guys, the $5 is all about just the testing phase, the initial phase. I mean, Chris Record, any of the big guys in the industry will all talk to you about doing testing with $5 a day ads. That doesn't mean that once you've done the testing that you can't scale it up, because that's definitely what you want to do. So, but initially, look at a $5 a day budget, and then do your 3 or 4 days, prove it out. Then you can start to look at moving it up and duplicating ad sets and increasing the budget on those duplicated ad sets, and then growing it up. I mean, there obviously are plenty of people that are running $50 a day budget on ads, even 100 or more. So it's all over the place. It grows as your business grows. So just keep that in mind. The $5 is really for the testing phase. Let's see here. Yeah, let's do a couple more here, and we'll try to wrap up. We've been going for about an hour and 15 minutes here, I believe. So we want to start to wind this down. Any other questions that you guys see? Because I lost the feed there. Let's see here. Thanks, Samer. Appreciate the compliment there. Let's see here. How do you know when your Facebook post is seasoned? Let's see here. Dan, Jacob, how do you know when your Facebook pixel is seasoned, or at what point do you switch from PPE to conversions? We just kind of addressed that a little bit. About 1,000 or so likes on your PPE ad, and you're going to have corresponding comments and shares to go along with that if you've got that many likes on it, typically anyway. So that's a good point to switch over. From a sales perspective, I think what's the number of purchases to get to a fairly seasoned? I mean, it's at least 25 sales, but I can't recall exactly what the number is on that. Let's see. You must have been at if you had a group. Yeah, we talked about that. How much money should you allow for testing a product before you kill it? Tim Herman, I think we kind of addressed this, but you want to $5 a day for 3 to 4 days on a PPE ad. If that's successful, then switch it over to a conversion ad and run that for another 3 to 4 days at $5 a day. So, all said and done, if you don't have success after the conversion ad runs, you're out about 30 to 40 bucks. Let's see here. I found my target audience. I think, how should I scale properly, and should I continue testing for more audiences? I feel like I can do better. David Lee, if you've done everything we've talked about, and you're making sales, scaling is about duplicating the ad set, the successful ad set, and the ad. So you can scale a number of different ways, and we probably don't want to get too deep into this on this Q&A, but one is by taking a look at your stats. within the ads manager, you can get all kinds of information about the audience that's buying, who's clicking through, who's purchasing, what age groups, what genders is doing it, and there's a number of other things you can break it down by. So you can separate an ad or break out an ad that way and say, okay, I'm going to further test on, say 10-year age ranges, and you can create a number of ad sets that way. The other way is just a straight scale on budget. So there's a number of different ways you can do that, but again, this is all predicated on the fact that you've been successful in your conversion ad and you've gotten sales off of that in order to justify scaling. Let's see here. You guys see any other questions here? There's actually quite a few. So
Just a couple emphasis. That's it.
Brian
Yeah.
Castillo, is there a way to track where a purchase came from? Absolutely. This is something that's real important. In fact, we've spent a lot of time on it as entrepreneurs, especially lately, reading the data. So we prefer to create and publish our ads through Power Editor. But when you go to analyze the data from those ads, Ads Manager is the place to go because you can customize all the columns to be able to see the data that you want to see. And we may want to do another live just on this alone. Frankly, we could spend quite a bit of time on it. But there is a way to create a column that will show the conversions, the website conversions, and the purchases. And you're just going to go in to your Ads Manager, and you'll see. I don't have it in front of me right now. I forgot what the name of the button is to create it. But you'll see it's right now. It's right next to breakdown. It's a way to customize the columns that you can see, so you can check your CPC, your CPM, your purchases, your spend, all of that stuff. But the data is really important because you got to be able to decide whether or not you want to cut an ad or scale it up. So that's where you would go in to find that information.
Joshua's Boys wants to know if we're
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
So hello, Noah. Hello, Elijah. Yes,
Yeah.
we're a real bunch of people here. Glad you're watching. It's crazy how we've got people very young interested in e-commerce, and then it spans the actual age ranges all the way up to folks in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s. We've had them here on site in the campus from the very young to the mature audience. So yeah, thanks for watching. It looks like.
Anybody see Mike?
How do I get rid of Facebook bots?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Sir?
I don't know what that question really means. Facebook has a lot of automation going on in the background. A lot of it's mysterious to most of us, even to the experts. So hence the test.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting if you're talking about bots as far as like Messenger, and you're getting messages sent to you, you may have opted into something if that's what you're talking about. I mean, it's hard to know what exactly your question is, but there are bots that are out there that marketers use. We even talk about that in some of our trainings. Ways to automate the marketing process using Messenger. So I don't know where these bots are coming to you from, if it's coming through Messenger, but you may have opted into something that's sending you those. Let's see here.
Mike's question.
Which one's that? Go ahead.
Increasing.
If you raise your dollar amount on daily spend, must you duplicate? Mike, yeah, that's a great question. There's different schools of thought on that, to be honest with you, on if you're raising your budget, must you duplicate? The way that we've been taught here is to duplicate the ad set, and you never want to mess with something that's working. Again, that forces Facebook to re-optimize the ad. But so what you're going to do is duplicate that winning ad set in the ad, and then you can raise the budget from there. And that's going to be the safest way to scale without kind of screwing everything up. Go ahead.
There's another thing. The general rule on that is you can increase it by about 20% without affecting the ad. It's a slow growth, but if you do more than that 20-25%, it's going to cause a change in your optimization. It will be like starting a new ad for some people. So if you're going to increase it, stick to that 20 to 25%. Also do what we've been talking about, where you duplicate the ad and scale that way also. Because you don't want to change the ad that's working, and you want to keep it going, and you want to increase it. So I do the 20% and duplicate and do other ad sets. Hope that answers that question.
Yeah, no, it's good. And that's where I was saying too. There's different schools of thought on this. You can, at the most, you wouldn't want to say double your budget on an ad that's already running, but like I was saying,
$20
20%, 10, 20% is probably going to be okay. Let's see here. Going conversions via link ads. Not ran 80%. Should I scale?
We're gonna have something before we get off.
Okay. We'll find out. I don't know if we're shut down. Go ahead if you want to add something.
Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to go ahead and add as we go ahead and wind down. For those who are still on, and for those who are watching this, number one, get more detail with your questions when it comes down to you wanting the post being improved. Because you got some people have to realize that there's over 14,000 plus members in this group, and it's continuously growing. So hourly, we're averaging anywhere from 50 to 100 questions ongoing. So if you want your post to be approved and you want an answer for it, make sure you're being precise and you're being detailed when it comes down to your questions. Because the thing is, we want to help, but then again, you have to help us to help you. So number one, you have to go ahead and have precise, detailed questions. Also, one thing I cannot emphasize enough is the 90-day challenge training. You need to essentially treat these videos as if you're learning how to drive, like as if it's a manual, as if it's a test, essentially. Because the thing is, we're learning a new skill. It's not hard, but it's simple. But there's things you might not remember, and so a lot of the things that you might want to know, it might be in a video you watch once, but then again, you watch it again, you might catch that thing that you were trying to go ahead and recollect to when you're trying to place an ad or whatever it may be. So treat the training as if it's your best friend. You're not going to hang out with your best friend once. You're not going to hang out with him twice. You're going to see him over periods of time as long as you guys are friends and you guys are cool, essentially. But just treat the training like as if it's your best friend. You're going to hang out with your best friend once, and you're gonna hang out with them again, so on and so forth. So treat the training just like that, because the thing is, a lot of these jewels are in this training. A lot of these jewels are there, and like I said, like Ecom Rob said, he's like, this is the life of an entrepreneur. We have to be resourceful on our own, essentially, just as much as we can rely on the group. So kind of hold yourself accountable, just like you hold us accountable. So number one, be precise in your questions. Number two, go ahead and watch those trainings, essentially, as if you're going to go ahead and hang out with them every single day, or whatever it may be. So
yeah, a lot of those questions are answered in those trainings, and I know, reality is, we're on day 46 now. There's a lot of information there, and we get that. But if you skip stuff, you're just going to miss out on some really, really valuable training. Those of you that have been around this industry know that the stuff that's being discussed on these lives for the last 46 days, you'd pay thousands and thousands of dollars to get this information from most of the gurus out in the market right now. So it's incredibly valuable. So don't take that for granted. Just go in and watch those videos. It's going to be really helpful. Alejandro, you had asked about scaling up an ad. Hopefully you understood what I was saying there. So if not, let us know. But hopefully we answered that question for you. We're going to start. I might do one or two more questions because we got.
Hello everyone. I have one here about the targeting.
Yes.
So I think that the target is the key point here in the ads. So maybe you can ask these three questions when you are going to target some product. What does your product best do? What does it best serve? And where can you find them? Yeah, so with those three, maybe if you go to, I don't know, to go more deep in the use of the product, who will use this product, famous people that maybe have this product, stores, tournaments. So go deep in this, maybe to go to the interest.
No, I agree, and I think that was directed towards Tim Herman. And Fabian just gave you like some really, really valuable information. It sounds pretty basic, but what does a product do? Who does it best serve? And where can you find those people? and you're asking about the fidget spinners, and I don't want to get into a bunch of detail about specific targeting on any one product, but you really want to think about who is the person that's using that. What is the purpose of the product and who would be using it? And from there, your brain will start to like think about what types of groups you might want to go after, what interests you want to target. And when you start thinking about products that way, some things are obvious. You know, if you've got a dog product, well, then you go to a dog owner, right? But that's, you know, everybody talks about cats and dogs, but they're a little bit easier to talk about. Well, when you've got products that are a little bit more complex than that, you need to think about what does a product do and who does it serve, and, you know, where do those people hang out? What types of interests do they have? What types of groups do they hang out in? What websites are they visiting? That's the other thing too. You know, people we haven't talked a little much about that, but knowing what websites you would go to. I mean, you can search some of that stuff. Those websites will have fan pages a lot of times. So you can go in once you know certain websites that you think people might go to. Now you can search those things in Facebook as well. So those are some of the questions you're going to ask yourself when you're going through your products, and understand. You know, it'll help you understand your what we call an avatar better, with your target customer. So let's see. What's up, Jonah? Happy to have you on. Yes, Alejandro, Fabian is from Colombia. His accent
Colombian
is
power
awesome.
here, man.
Yes. So look, he's even got the flag.
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right. I think we. Yeah, Mike. Sorry about that. It has been cutting out a number of times today. I'm not sure if that's a network issue, a Facebook issue. I don't know what it is, so I apologize for that. Hopefully, when it comes back, when the recording comes out, you guys won't see that stuff.
Can maybe the last one. So
Yeah, Fabian's gonna do one more, and then we're gonna wrap up, guys. Also, too, we know we didn't get to every single question here, so sorry about that. There were actually quite a few questions, which is fantastic. We'll do this again, but if you've got questions that didn't get answered here, feel free to put them in the group. But like Sean was saying, you know, some of the things that we like to see in there is make sure that the question is something that provides value to everybody, and, you know, make sure that you're keep it as short and specific as possible. So, you know, sometimes we'll get questions in there that will be paragraphs long, and it's hard to read through all that. We're getting hundreds of posts a day. And stay positive. That's always another good one too. But and then also too, leverage the resources, leverage those videos. There's cheat sheets in there. Read through that stuff. There's a lot of information that's already covered that we get questions on. So we're happy to help, and that's what we're here for. But some of this stuff is already in there too. So anyway, if you got one more question before we wrap up.
This is mindset. Everything is mindset. So maybe doing. You know, don't stay like Roberto said before. Just do a thing. Do things and don't analyze and paralyze. So just do it.
Analysis.
That's
paralysis.
all. Analysis paralysis. Jump in it.
Don't fall in love with a particular product. There's some products out there you want them to sell. Make sure you're not holding on to them too long. Look for something else when you do your analysis. Same thing, you have to do multiple ads. You got to test. We have so many people that, you know, are too scared to run more than, you know, 1 or 2 ads. You got to keep testing. You got to keep running ads. You're going to get better at it. Your target selection is going to get better as you choose audiences. You're going to start thinking in different ways as you do more and more. You have to do it. Even if you're running a $3 ad, you got to practice. If you only have one product in your store and you're scared about your store not looking perfect, most people are just going to see that one product when they go to your store. So don't get stuck by thinking your store has to be perfect. You got to run the ads. You got to have practice at it. I learn something new every day with every ad that I run. So keep doing it.
Cool.
Okay?
Awesome, guys. Yeah, thank you all too as well. There's a lot of
Thank you,
lot of
guys.
stuff in here, a lot of thank yous, everything. We appreciate you guys a lot,
Yeah,
and
thank
we're
you.
happy to be here to help. So
Yeah, we're here to help.
yeah, let us know. And
Precise questions.
yes, I already reiterated that for you. So awesome, guys. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you on the next live. Take care.